If you want to start an online store, you have to know where to find wholesale suppliers and manufacturers. Should you search on Google? Should you attend a trade show? Should you import from China? Where can you find dropship suppliers, wholesalers, and factories to manufacture your products? Now, when my wife and I first started our e-commerce business, we had these exact same questions. Now, the correct approach for finding a small business wholesale supplier or factory is actually highly dependent on your e-commerce business model. For example, the methodology for finding a wholesale supplier that dropships is completely different than finding a private label manufacturer. Now, this video will discuss where to find the best wholesale vendors and manufacturers depending on whether you sell dropship products, wholesale products, or private label products. And this is based on my experience running my 7-figure e-commerce store and my Amazon business. So here's my take on the best way to find wholesale suppliers and vendors for your online business. Now let's start with dropshipping. Dropshipping is an e-commerce business model where you don't have to stock any inventory for the products you sell. Whenever an order comes in, you simply place the exact same order to your dropshipper and then collect the profit based on the difference in price. Now your dropshipping supplier handles the entire fulfillment process, and all you got to do is take orders, perform customer service, and your supplier stores and fulfills your orders. Now as a result, dropshipping is a great way to start an online store without risking a lot of money. Now here are the best places to find wholesale vendors that dropship. Now the first place is Worldwide Brands. Worldwide Brands is a directory of wholesale suppliers who dropship in the US and Canada. Now there are over 16 million products offered on this platform that range from apparel, consumer electronics, beauty products, office products, and more. Now there's a one-time membership fee of $2.99 to access the directory, and most suppliers are in the US or Canada. Now I personally used Worldwide Brands in the past to quickly find small business wholesale suppliers to fill out our inventory for sparse categories. The second dropshipping platform is called SaleWho. SaleWho is a wholesale supplier directory of dropshippers that cater to international clients. As a result, many of the wholesale suppliers found on SaleWho are actually not from the US. Now they are based in New Zealand. SaleWho boasts over 8,000 trusted dropshipping suppliers that sell over 2.5 million products and brands across a variety of categories, including consumer electronics, health and beauty, pet supplies, and more. Now, SaleWho's main value add is that every supplier in their directory is pre-vetted with up-to-date info, and you get instant access to a wide variety of products to dropship in your store. SaleWho charges a one-time access fee of $127. Alternatively, you can pay $67 per year for membership. The next dropshipping supplier is called Doba. Doba is an all-in-one wholesale supplier for dropshipping that is both a directory and a marketplace. Now on Doba, you'll find thousands of dropshipping vendors to source your products for your e-commerce business. And once you find a wholesale supplier, Doba also manages all your ordering and fulfillment operations as well. So here's how it works. You find products on Doba that you want to sell, you add these products to your store, and then when you receive an order, Doba automatically passes your order to the supplier who fulfills the order. So basically, Doba acts as a bridge to a large database of wholesale suppliers that will dropship on your behalf. The main disadvantage is that you'll never know who your suppliers are, as Doba hides that info from you. Doba charges a monthly fee from $25 to $299 a month, depending on the plan that you choose. The next dropship directory is called Spocket. Spocket is a directory of wholesale vendors willing to dropship on your behalf. Now, most of the suppliers on their platform are from the US or the EU, and the product quality is top-notch. Using their app, you can instantly add products you find on Spocket to your Shopify store. When an order comes in, it is electronically sent to Spocket, where they handle inventory management and order fulfillment. The only disadvantage to Spocket is that they have a smaller selection of products compared to other wholesale supplier directories in this video. Now, Spocket charges a membership fee that starts at $25 a month all the way up to $99 a month, depending on the number of products that you sell. Let's switch over to print on demand. Print on demand is actually a form of dropshipping where you work with the supplier to print your own custom designs on white label products like t-shirts, mugs, and pillows. No money is required up front. When your customer makes a purchase, the print on demand company builds your product with your design on the fly and ships it to your customer. You don't have to pay for the cost of your product until after it's been sold, which allows you to start a print on demand dropshipping store for very little money. Here are my top 3 print on demand wholesale vendors to work with. Printful. Printful is my favorite one because they offer a large selection of products to choose from. They print all their own goods in-house with fast turnaround times, and their print quality is excellent. Right now, Printful is one of the largest vertically integrated print-on-demand wholesale suppliers in the world, and they support all the major shopping carts, including Shopify, BigCommerce, and WooCommerce. Print-on-demand company number 2 is Printify. Printify is a print-on-demand company that does not print any of their own merchandise. Instead, they have a network of print providers in over 90 locations in the US, UK, Australia, Germany, and China. As a result, the print quality that you receive can be hit or miss depending on the specific provider you work with. Now, Printify's primary advantage is the sheer size of their print-on-demand network with over 250 plus unique products to choose from. Now, because their network is so large, you can often find a print-on-demand company local to where you live. Now, the final print-on-demand company I recommend is CustomCat. CustomCat is a vertically integrated print-on-demand company like Printful that does all of their own printing in-house. However, they do have a significantly smaller product selection compared to Printful. In addition, CustomCat only supports a subset of e-commerce platforms out of the box, and you're pretty much limited to Shopify or WooCommerce. However, CustomCat is less expensive than most other providers, which allows you to make more money selling your print-on-demand products. Now, my kids use CustomCat for their t-shirt business over at kidincharge.com, and their print quality is fantastic. Now, let's shift gears and talk about how to find the best wholesale vendors in the United States. Now, the simplest way to find a small business wholesale supplier in the US is simply by Googling the company of the product you want to sell, going on their website, and then finding out who their wholesale distributors are. Smaller companies typically won't have distributors and will sell to you directly. Now, wholesale discounts are usually on the order of 30 to 50% off MSRP, and depending on the item and the brand, the minimum order can be as low as $100. Now, outside of Googling, here are the best ways to find wholesale suppliers in the US. First place is Data Axle or Reference USA. Reference USA is a database of every registered business in the US that can be accessed to find wholesale vendors and factories in the US. Best part is that it's 100% free. The only catch is that Reference USA can only be accessed at your local library, but most libraries support the service. In addition to finding wholesale suppliers, Reference USA can also be used to locate any type of retail company, research business executives, and find factories to boost your products. Next place in the US is called ThomasNet. ThomasNet is a searchable database of US suppliers that caters to industrial and commercial companies. Now, if you have a product that you want to manufacture in the US, then ThomasNet is an excellent resource. ThomasNet contains detailed information for every wholesale supplier, including their size, annual sales, product information, certifications, and more. Now, ThomasNet is 100% free, and you can send an email, request a quote, or visit the supplier's website. Now, the final site is called Wholesale Central. Wholesale Central is a wholesale directory that contains a list of wholesale companies and trade shows in the United States. Now, the best way to find and meet with multiple wholesale vendors in a short period is by attending a trade show. Wholesale Central sorts every show by category, and you can easily find a niche-specific convention to attend. Now, the best wholesale suppliers can be found at trade shows because they go through a vetting process and have the funds to invest in a booth. Now, if you live near a major city, you should definitely go and check out a trade show if you have the time. All you need is a seller's permit, and admission is free for most shows. Now, let's shift gears again and talk about how to find the best wholesale suppliers and manufacturers from China. Now, today, most products are manufactured in China and other parts of Asia because the labor costs are so much cheaper. Now, the general rule of thumb, for textiles at least, is that if you're buying from a vendor in the US, you aren't going to get the best price. Buying direct from the manufacturer or importing from China is the best way to obtain the lowest costs. Now, here's how to find a China wholesale supplier to source your products. Best place is to start on Alibaba. Alibaba is a wholesale supplier directory where you can search for factories to manufacture your own private label products. Now, most vendors on Alibaba are willing to create products according to your exact specifications with your brand and label. As a result, Alibaba is probably the best way to find private label manufacturers online. With Alibaba, you can buy products at low prices, find thousands of suppliers, create your own brand, and create your own custom designs. In addition, Alibaba vets all their factories and provides you with useful information so you can quickly find the best suppliers. With a click of a button, you can quickly contact a Chinese supplier directly and ask for quotes, minimum order quantities, and lead times. And the best part is that you don't have to travel to Asia to find a great supplier. The next place to find China wholesale suppliers is Global Sources. Similar to Alibaba, Global Sources is also a wholesale supplier directory of Asian manufacturers. However, Global Sources is significantly smaller than Alibaba and has different strengths. Now, if you're sourcing electronics, then Global Sources is by far the better service. In fact, the vendors that you find on Global Sources tend to be higher quality because they vet their companies more closely. But on the flip side, the vendors on Global Sources are more established and prefer to work with companies with greater purchasing power. So as a result, the minimum order quantities tend to be higher on Global Sources versus Alibaba. But overall, Alibaba has a much larger selection of vendors, but it tends to be a mixed bag in terms of quality and legitimacy. Some companies on Alibaba are trading companies. Some listings are individuals doing online arbitrage. Now, if you plan on sourcing products from China, be sure to browse both directories. The next way to find Chinese suppliers is to go to the Canton Fair. The Canton Fair is one of the largest sourcing shows in the world. Held in Guangzhou, China, twice per year, the Canton Fair hosts wholesale vendors from all over the world that produce nearly every type of product. Now, because the show is so large, it's actually split into 3 phases. Phase 1 is electronics, household electrical appliances, machinery, lighting equipment, hardware and tools, vehicles and spare parts, building materials, and chemical products. Phase 2 is consumer products, decoration, goods, and gifts. And Phase 3 is textiles and garments, shoes, office supplies, cases and bags, recreational products, medicines, medical devices, and health products. Now, the Canton Fair is held in April and October every year, and it's free to attend. Now, if you have the means, I highly recommend that you attend in person. Even though finding and contacting vendors via Alibaba and global sources is fairly straightforward, it is very slow and cumbersome. Not only do you have to get individual samples sent back and forth from Asia, but there's also a major communication slowdown because exchanging emails is highly inefficient. Add in the time difference, and you only have a small window of time every day to communicate. But by attending a China wholesale trade show, you can see sample products for thousands of Chinese vendors all at once in a single location. You can see and touch all the merchandise without having to wait several weeks. Now, because so many different vendors congregate at the Canton Fair and bring their merchandise with them, you can easily cover hundreds of vendors in the span of just a couple of days. There's no back and forth or delay in communication. You don't have to get samples made and sent overseas. Everything is right there at your fingertips. Now, the final way to find Chinese factories is to use the Jungle Scout supplier database. Now, even though the vendor reviews on Alibaba and global sources are helpful for evaluating vendors, an even faster way to get great suppliers is to spy on who your competitors are actually using. In fact, you can easily steal wholesale suppliers from your competition by leveraging the Jungle Scout supplier database. Now, what is a supplier database? Every sea shipping container that enters the US must clear customs before it's allowed to cross the border. And during this process, every shipment is carefully documented in the US customs database. All this information is freely available to the public, and a supplier database tool allows you to quickly browse these shipments for every company that imports into the US by sea. For example, here's a sample shipping document for the North Face. Now, from this document, you can easily find North Face's supplier and the size and weight of their shipment, and this information is extremely powerful. My favorite supplier database tool is called the Jungle Scout Supplier Database. For a small fee, you can quickly find the best suppliers your competition is using. Now, over here is a video demo that I created that demonstrates how to use the Jungle Scout Supplier Database. Now, let's say you want to sell wholesale clothing. Here are the best suppliers in the US. Now, I'm often asked if China is the right answer when sourcing apparel, bags, shoes, and other accessories. And if you're doing huge volumes, then the answer is yes. But for most small business owners, making clothing in China is overkill. You're much better off buying fabric in the US and finding a local sewist to make goods for you. Only once you have the patterns down and know that you can sell in sufficient volume should you import a large quantity. Now, if you want to manufacture your own products in the US, there are many ways to find a reliable supplier. For textiles and clothing, you can visit the local garment district in your area. You can also use Google and look for local manufacturers, wholesale companies, and product designers. Now, if you're looking specifically to sell ready-made wholesale clothing, you can try the following companies in the US. Wholesale Fashion Square is a wholesale clothing marketplace of manufacturers and importers from Los Angeles, California. Most of their items are sold in bundles of 6, and they offer very reasonable pricing on their items. Overall, they have one of the largest selections of wholesale clothing in the US, spanning accessories, jewelry, scarves, makeup accessories, and clothing for all seasons and occasions. You can also try LA Showroom. LAshowroom.com also offers a huge selection of clothing from designers, manufacturers, and wholesale distributors from all over the world. New products are added every week, and they carry men's, women's, and children's clothing from a variety of brands. Membership is 100% free, but LA Showroom only allows access to established wholesale buyers. There's a thorough vetting process before granting access. Now, let's say you're ready to do mass production in China. Here are the best wholesale clothing suppliers in China. Now, just to give you an idea of pricing, you can buy a blank t-shirt in China for as little as 50 cents depending on quality. But the downside is that the minimum order quantity for clothing is on the order of 300 to 500 pieces per design. In many cases, you have to order 300 to 500 pieces per size as well. As a result, manufacturing clothing in China carries a large upfront investment. In general, you should only order designs from China that you know you can sell in volume. In addition to finding clothing manufacturers on Alibaba and global sources, you can also look at the following companies for clothing suppliers in China. Fashion Line Factory. Fashion Line is a top manufacturer and wholesale supplier for women's fashion apparel. They've been in business for over 15 years and specialize in making clothing for small boutiques. The best part is that you can actually buy clothing in small quantities so you can test the style before making a bulk order. Fashion Line doesn't charge any memberships, packing fees, or commissions. You can also try Fashion TIY. Fashion TIY is an online wholesale market that specializes in clothing, accessories, bags, shoes, and jewelry for both men and women. Now, while you can find clothing suppliers on directories like Alibaba, Fashion TIY specializes in fashion, and you can find what you want much faster than in a generic marketplace. Also, unlike Alibaba, Fashion TIY is vertically integrated and ships out your products directly from their warehouse. You don't have to contact and interface with different suppliers. All transactions are conducted directly on the Fashion TIY website. Now, one of the questions I'm commonly asked is when to source product from Asia versus the United States or your home country. While the wholesale price for your goods will tend to be cheaper if purchased from China, importing from Asia will not always be the right answer for everyone. There are many factors that you need to take into account. First off, the main advantage of importing from China is that the labor costs are significantly cheaper. Therefore, if you want to sell products that are labor intensive to create, going with China will almost always be cheaper than anywhere else. So textiles, clothing, or anything that needs to be handmade are ideal candidates for importing. But let's say you manufacture plastic toys and you already own the molds. The cost of plastic between the US and Asia will probably not differ enough to warrant manufacturing in China. In general, US wholesale suppliers are going to be more expensive, but using a local wholesale supplier has its advantages. Because many products are not made in the US anymore, wholesale suppliers take care of all the hassle of importing and warehousing the goods from the manufacturer. You don't have to travel to a foreign country. You don't have to deal with shipping or customs. You just place your order and the merchandise shows up on your doorstep. Now, finding domestic wholesale suppliers also saves you time from having to perform extensive quality control checks on your merchandise because presumably the wholesale supplier has gone through all that already. So overall, it's a trade-off between time versus money. Now, how you prefer to obtain your goods from your suppliers is up to you, but buying direct is a no-brainer in my book. The more work that you're willing to put in for your small business, the more profit that you will make. No one said that opening an online store was going to be easy, but by placing a larger investment of your time upfront, you will pave the way to greater rewards in the future. Now that I've gone over different ways to find wholesale suppliers, I actually go into a lot more depth on how to find your actual suppliers in this video.